So you're wondering about cheat days and potentially including them in your program. Let's go ahead and chat about them, what they are, and why I'm personally not a huge fan. But first, let me give you a little bit of background about where I'm coming from, because I do have a history of an eating disorder, and that does play a huge role. So I grew up doing gymnastics, and I know that sport is like notorious for having like terrible coaches that make you develop an eating disorder. It wasn't necessarily the coaches for me. I actually had amazing coaches and went to a very supportive gym growing up. But when my body started to change, something in me was not very confident about seeing those changes and wanted to control things. So that is probably where my eating disorder started. I remember specifically getting sick my freshman year of high school, and obviously I lost weight because I was sick, right? And that became my goal weight for, that was in 2009, and that became my goal weight until probably about 2015 to 2018. So probably not the healthiest thing. When I started lifting my freshman year of college, when I started doing gymnastics in college, I kind of found out that newbie gains are real and I could kind of eat whatever I wanted to. So I was like, oh my gosh, let me have this whole entire bag of chocolate covered pretzels. And I didn't have to worry about it because I was, building muscle. Plus was, going towards something. But as I started to decrease the demand, I guess, as I adapted to the new stimulus, I didn't really learn those strategies. So then I ended up turning towards an eating disorder. And that's really when my eating disorder fully started. And that is something that I did go through for the next 5 or so years. I abused laxatives, I was purging, binging, etc. I would essentially, restrict a whole lot for a period of time, and then I would end up binging and purging, etc. And I do feel like having a super strict structured program that is super restrictive and then allowing these cheat days does lead towards those behaviors for some people, and they might not be the healthiest for everyone. For some people, it works well and they're able to not go crazy on these cheat days. But from my experience and from talking with others, seeing what other people have to say about it, that's not as common. So I don't think it's the overall healthiest way to go about your nutrition. So when I did finally come out of that eating disorder, I pretty much just did a lot of self-work and listened to a lot of different podcasts and finally just kind of worked myself out of that. I know that's probably not the norm, and it can be helpful to get professional help, but I was stubborn. So that was kind of how I did it myself, because I knew that it wasn't the most healthy and I knew I eventually wanted to stop. But taking that experience and going into an overall nutrition philosophy, it's really do what works for you and your own body. And that might require some sort of experimentation on your end to determine what is appropriate for you. And it might require, working with a nutritionist, dietitian, etc., to help you and guide you to figure out what actually is best for you. And I personally have, worked with dietitians, I've worked with coaches and things like that. And I probably will work with someone again, hopefully coming soon, to continue to learn about my own body and continue to figure out what actually works best for me, because I'm still having some gut health issues, probably due to the fact that I had an eating disorder and probably some hormonal stuff going on, probably related to stress management and things like that. So I am a work in progress myself, which is also why I don't want to share everything about my nutrition, because I am not the expert. But my background of my own nutrition was more, I grew up eating, a standard diet. My family was typically overall, we ate home cooked meals. We, had protein and veggies and things like that at every meal. So I did come from a household that knew a little bit more than average about nutrition. But in high school, probably when my body started to change, I kind of wanted to start to control it a little bit more. And it was partly that and the fact that I was going to be going to college soon. And raw meat honestly grossed me out. If I helped prepare it, I was not going to eat it just because I was so grossed out by it. So I was like, you know what, might as well become vegetarian. So I became vegetarian my junior year of high school, and that was kind of that. I'm not sure if it was more related to the fact that raw meat truly does still gross me out to this day, or if it was more related to the fact that I wanted to start to control my body. it's hard to say. But when I was in college, during the time that I had my eating disorder, I was like, you know what, I want to try to become vegan. And I don't know, again, looking back on it, if it was more, I wanted to be more restrictive with my food, or if I truly wanted to see if it would make me feel better. I told other people that I wanted to see if it made me feel better. And I did tell people, and I wasn't sure if I truly believed that it did make me feel better for a period of time or what, but it's hard to say. But the first time I tried switching to vegan, I tried it for, I forget if it was like a week or 2 weeks, and it did not go very well. I just pretty much wanted to have ice cream, and I didn't have ice cream, so I ate everything else instead, so I truly did not feel good. So gave that a little bit of a break, and I was like, let me try this again. And it took me a year to give up ice cream, and eventually I did become truly vegan for probably 5 years or so, maybe more. But like looking back on it again, I'm truly not sure if it was because like it gave me an excuse to not eat in front of others. It gave me an excuse to not order something when we went out to eat. Things like that. It made things a lot easier with, being really restrictive about my food. And I don't really know if it truly made me feel better or if I was just telling myself that. Eventually, like once I was kind of past my eating disorder, I, was still not feeling great. And I was like, maybe adding some food back might help, because I had to become a little bit more restrictive with my foods to kind of see what exactly was contributing. And so I started adding back in yogurt for some calcium, some protein, and probiotics. Felt good with that. So I was like, okay, I'm vegan, but I have yogurt. And this is where like the labels get really confusing, because like if you're tied to a label and that doesn't work perfectly for you, I feel like people get caught up in, sticking to that label versus actually listening to their body. And then like as I've had to become a little bit more restrictive, unfortunately, I then was like, you know what, I need to add other protein sources, because I had to take out beans and edamame and things like that, because those things upset my stomach. And that's my personal experience. So then I was like, okay, let me add in eggs, because I was able to eat eggs. Like those don't gross, those kind of sort of gross me out. I kind of overcook them, but like I can eat those. I did trial chicken again for a while, and that just grossed me out way too much. So I am vegetarian. And what else did I add? I added one other thing. Oh, whey protein. Just add another source of protein. That was easy. And so that's kind of what I did. And those are, to this day, the only things that are not vegan, I guess, that I do eat. Like I don't eat cheese, I don't do butter, etc., so forth. I just have never been a huge cheese person. But anyways, getting sidetracked. I basically have made my own, I guess, label, because I'm not really like true vegetarian because I don't eat cheese, and I'm not really truly vegan because I have eggs, whey, and yogurt. So it is what works for me. And that's where the experimentation comes in. It doesn't have to match a label, essentially. Do what works for you and what makes your body feel better. And this might require, again, some guidance from someone. It might require a lot of experimentation, but experiment and figure it out for yourself, because that's truly what is important. And consider like balance overall. Obviously like prioritize protein, a variety of food sources, getting some fiber, and like getting fruits and vegetables, and like a healthy carb source. But make sure it's what your body can tolerate, and like balance is okay too. So it's okay to add something that's like a little sweet something, or something that's like not good for you, in moderation, to improve your quality of life. So you can, in a lot of cultures, food is related to spending time with people and celebrating. And you don't want food and your like diet to limit your ability to improve your quality of life through spending time with people. So balance and moderation and things like that are truly important. And it's always, a balance of that. And like, keep all of this in mind as like, I am not the expert in nutrition. I know a lot about the human body and movement and, working out, but nutrition is out of my area of expertise. And that's partly why I don't talk about it all of the time. That's why I don't share a whole lot about my nutrition as well. I've worked with coaches in the past, so I have learned stuff from them, but that doesn't make me qualified. Looking a certain way does not make me qualified to give nutritional advice. And you never know how someone reached that specific body that they achieved. I have the workout side somewhat nailed down, although that's, again, still always a work in progress. You don't know how someone gained that body. You don't know if it was, uncontrolled weight loss. You don't know if it was unhealthy. You don't know if, they're using, some drug of some kind. Like, you don't know, essentially. And that's also important when looking on social media. So just keep that in mind when you're looking online. Make sure you're getting your nutrition advice from a qualified professional, like a dietitian, etc. So make sure you're looking at their credentials and also making sure those values match your own. But if you are interested in hearing about my fitness philosophy in general, go ahead and check out this video over here.